right, joining us now to discuss Bitcoin price and more is CoinDesk Director of Professional Content, Galen Moore in Boston. Hello there, Galen. Always great to see you. So taking a look at price right now, what do you think of the February bounce for Bitcoin? Is that a thing?
No, today it is most certainly not a thing. Bitcoin is down on the month as of as of today, and look, I think it's an interesting time for Bitcoin. When crypto markets took their big dip, January 21 to 22, Bitcoin fell less than other widely traded currencies in the CoinDesk 20, and since then it has recovered faster, I think, than most. But I think there's still some questions to be asked about Bitcoin's kind of bear market role. You're seeing that tendency here for Bitcoin to just kind of perform a little better in a bear market. Typically, in a bear market, you see Bitcoin dominance start to recover. In general, I think we might see this asset or that asset survive better on a down day. But overall, within crypto, risk off means Bitcoin, and I think that's the primary driver of what's happening in the market right now. But I think the question really is how.
Bitcoin is performing relatively well compared to other cryptocurrencies, though. We have a chart from showing BTC and the CoinDesk 20.
Yeah, that's right. That's the CoinDesk 20 minus some of the stable coins. Bitcoin, you can see in the candle, and the candle's there kind of near the top of that list, which also I think actually includes Coinbase shares, just for fun. And I think that chart kind of tells the story. If you look at where those candles are relative to the rest, this was earlier this morning. I think as of this moment, a couple of those currencies have slipped above Bitcoin on year-to-date returns. But nonetheless, you get some buy the dip support for Bitcoin among new entrants. But I think that's probably less true now than it might have been in previous downturns. Investors are more comfortable with riskier assets in crypto. They've seen the returns that are orders of magnitude greater than what Bitcoin can deliver at this point in its maturity. And they're making that calculus. I mean, could Bitcoin go to 150,000? Sure, okay. That's, what is that, 5x? Solana today is still up nearly 2,000% over where it was a year ago, compared to about 6% for Bitcoin. So I think... so some question again as to kind of what the future holds for Bitcoin if we go back to a bull market, and again, kind of Bitcoin's role as the risk-off asset, I think, remains. But does that really power it to a new high?
Well, there's that argument, put forward by some experts who's saying, with the institutional investment in Bitcoin these days, that it's behaving more like a tech stock. So do you think there's a correlation there and it'll continue on with the traditional market up and downs?
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, there's tech stocks are getting hit pretty hard right now, and that's having an effect. One of the kind of continuing strong signals that I look to for the long term is the amount of venture capital dollars flowing into the cryptocurrency space, and not only that, but the sort of the less easy to measure amount of technology talent flowing into this space. You see a lot of people who cut their teeth in Web 2 now taking a really serious interest and commitment in Web 3, and I think the current market right now is going to be tough for fundraising. But if people are doing something early stage, exciting things are going to come out of that in the long term. The big question again is, what benefit might that have for Bitcoin? Certainly there will be a lift, but I think you might start to see, again, a rally in which excitement, perhaps generated by some new offering, some new product to come out. Excitement kind of centers around Web3 or other areas where Bitcoin is more marginal.
Well, taking a look at some of the news items we've got Arizona, and they're considering. Well, we've got a very enthusiastic state senator, Wendy Rogers, who wants to make Bitcoin legal tender there. Yeah. I mean, I don't know that there are a lot of folks who are also saying that this may not be constitutional. We'd have to see how that debate goes on, but it could be a potential tailwind for Bitcoin. What are your thoughts?
I think it's extremely unlikely to pass. And I think it's another one of these cases where you have to ask the question whether a certain group's attaching themselves to Bitcoin is really beneficial to Bitcoin. The sponsoring state legislator is Wendy Rogers, as you mentioned. She's a known follower of fringe conspiracy theories. Look, whatever you think of that, and I don't mean to get political, what I do think is interesting is the apparent divide among followers of those theories over Bitcoin, right? For some time now, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general have been very current among followers of right-wing conspiracy theories and extremist factions. But recently you had former President Donald Trump, who's an important figure for some of those ideas and some of those groups, condemning Bitcoin. Look, I think in general, it's important to watch the way support for cryptocurrency or condemnation of it breaks down along party lines, especially with regulatory hearings coming up. Next week, the Senate has one on risks, regulation, and innovation, I believe, on the 9th. And then there's a pair of stablecoin hearings as well in the House Financial Services on the 8th and Senate Banking on February 15. So, regulation is in the wind. It's a story in the Wall Street Journal today on the XRP the XRP court case and how that might kind of affect potential legislation in cryptocurrency. So I think there's there's a great deal to pay close attention to there.
Well, the ADP is also reporting that January jobs missed expectations and fell by about half compared to December job gains. Could a spike in COVID-19 cases push the Federal Reserve off of its plan to begin hiking interest rates in March?
You are definitely venturing outside of my wheelhouse right there, Christine. But I think, I think everybody's going to be watching to see what the jobs report on Friday offers. And certainly there will be a tea leaf reading as to whether that might slow the path that the Fed has put itself on. I think, you have to sort of balance what you're seeing in the jobs numbers right now against what you're also seeing in the COVID numbers, which have largely been optimistic in areas that have done a good job vaccinating and controlling. I can speak personally, anecdotally. I was traveling this past week to California. Flights were either half empty or more. Airports were spacious, wide open places. I think there is an impact that Omicron is having on travel industries, and that was certainly where you saw the bulk of the impact in the ADP numbers. So certainly the Fed and watchers of the Fed will be looking to see whether those impacts are likely to be temporary, or whether, there may be as kind of a signal of a really broader, perhaps slowdown there that would actually cause the Fed to back off its current course.
And we're just generally seeing thinner volumes of Bitcoin. So I wonder where you see support resistant headed to short term.
Yeah, it's we're still kind of in positive territory above where Bitcoin was trading a year ago. And certainly if you look back to pre-pandemic, Bitcoin has performed very well relative to stocks, which are now about where they were before the pandemic crash of March 2020. The question, I guess, is, can it go further down? I think, it was hard to imagine Bitcoin going below 40,000. So, sort of anything is possible at this point. But again, we've certainly seen support in the mid-low 30,000s. So, it would have to be a continued negative or worsening environment, I think, to head down in that direction. And one thing I think that's an important metric to watch is Bitcoin on exchanges. That continues to be at a record low percentage-wise. So, I don't think we're seeing the kind of, really wholesale panic selling activity and exit from cryptocurrency that might indicate a real plummet back down to, to pre-2020 levels or something like that.